What is up, everybody? It has been a minute, and we're not bothering to catch up. We're just going to jump in the current season. It is season 5, episode 16. We are ready to go, indeed. Uh, we got a little bit to talk about, but I I seem to have misplaced my script for what we were supposed to talk about.
Oh boy.
Or I don't know. Nobody wrote me a script. Like they didn't
Oh,
pass it to me. So we're winging this one a little bit.
yeah. This is for the first time, guys. We're completely off book.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Then we're gonna talk a little bit about our little bit of Doctor Who that we got. And mostly that does it for news. There's an upcoming series that I want to talk about a little bit, just because I think it's going to be really enjoyable. But first we gotta ask, how's it going, Rob?
It's going fine. Back from a successful trip to Vegas. Did well in my dart tournament, and
Excellent.
I'm basically a star there now.
That's fun. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been pretty much the same. I actually just recently started a new job. I mean, kind of new job, same job. Like it's basic operations of different machines, but this one is pretty interesting. I'm enjoying myself, and yeah, that about does it. So we can jump into some news. And speaking of us not having any script and us being totally off book, as we usually aren't, we're very scripted and like very we're what's the word I'm looking for?
We're tight. We're
Yeah.
Well prepared.
Yeah, we are very prepared all the time.
We do the show. It's an hour to an hour and a half sometimes. We get one night's of rest in between, and then it's just prepare. 6 days of constantly coming back, script revisions, the whole bit. Not this week.
No. Yeah. So let's talk about it a little bit. The WGA, the Writers Guild of America strike. Super fun stuff happened 2 weeks ago. We definitely would have been covering this on other shows, and it's the only topic that we're going to bother covering from the last 2 weeks that we missed. 3 weeks. Yeah, we missed 3 weeks, and honestly, it's funny because one was one person, one was the other person, and the third was the third one. Like we're tightly run ship around these parts.
Ridiculous.
So yeah, writer strike. I don't know. Do you want to talk? Go first a little bit, because I wasn't paying attention during the last one.
Well, I think that the big problem is with the new media, the writers aren't properly being compensated, and it has a lot to do with streaming hours and stuff like that, and how you have to have so many streaming hours, or sometimes their work has to be purchased at such a rate or whatever. If it's, say, a $40 million movie, they get such a percentage, but if it's only a $13 movie, they get a $13 million movie. I think they get a percentage of points or whatever from the streaming hours or something like that. But yeah, it's this time it's a little different.
I guess they
negotiate. What's the matter? What you do?
One of us might be glitching, and I'm not sure which one it is.
Oh my god! I see you've got it freezing. But yeah, it's I guess it's something they negotiate every 3 years, and usually they come up with something. But now that Disney Plus and Netflix and all these other companies are coming into the fold, it's not just NBC, CBS, etc. It creates a whole new dynamic, because what they want is much different than, say, what a NBC or something like that will want. So now there's 10 different producer guilds or producers involved, and then they have to go in the Writers Guild, and it's a huge mess. It's a huge mess. It can be easily solved just by paying writers fairly. But yeah, these guys are. And again, I still don't know how Netflix and all these other companies make so much money. And if they're making so much money, they better be giving it to the creatives that actually make it for them. That's all.
All right.
2 cents.
That was great at the perfect time for a snark rant, because I absolutely, like, my whole StreamYard started glitching.
Oh my god.
I literally just opened YouTube just here just to figure out like which one of us was glitching, because I really wasn't sure. But your voice was coming in like
Like
maybe a fifth
like,
of a word at a time.
Oh my god.
But yeah, freaking pay your writers. They make you all your fucking money. Like, that's simple.
Yeah, not this guy. This guy gets paid enough.
Listen, he does a lot of script revision. Doesn't do a lot of writing. But yeah. Oh man, I don't know. This is gonna be really fun as a show that covers television, to see how long this can go, how it's gonna affect television. I'm sure we're gonna get a couple new reality shows, because that kind of happened during the 2000s one. Like, basically, you do whatever you can to build shows that don't need scripts, and
we'll finally get the World
stuck.
Series, the World Series of cockfighting coming this fall to ABC. Yeah, it's already started to affect like the late night shows and those kind of things, and like this week tonight, those are all on hiatus now. So it started the last time I remember. I don't know if it was the last one or the one before, but that's the one where everyone started growing beard. Like Dave Letterman started growing that beard. Conan O'Brien, started growing that beard. So wonder who comes back with a beard. I'm gonna say Kelly Clarkson.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, scientifically near impossible, but we'll see if they can figure it out.
All right. I'm not sure if I can say more on what you said, because I don't know what you said. So, well, we'll just leave it at that. I probably endorse or do not endorse what Rob said, depending on what he said.
That's an endorsement if I ever heard one in my entire life.
Shall we talk about some Doctor Who?
Sure. Yes.
Fun stuff. The first of Russell T Davies episodes.
Return episodes.
Well, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's not new to the show?
He's not new to the show? Not just his return. There's all kinds of returns.
Catherine Tate?
Catherine Tate's back. Donna Noble's back. Not one of my favorite companions, but I'm interested to see why they brought her of people. So yeah, it'll be fun. English comic icon Catherine Tate. I love her.
Yeah. It's funny, like, how often they do this, especially, but like how many like non-English people end up English in the show, and how many English people end up in Scotland or in here or in there, and they're all UK adjacent.
Sure.
But they're all playing like accents from the place they're not from, instead of if they had just waited a couple of months, they could have hired the Scottish guy to play a Scottish person.
They get enough Scottish people on that show.
But yeah, so we got 3 episodes with David Tennant and Catherine Tate and Russell T Davies.
And
looks like they're all written by.
Yeah. And
That's
it should have Shooty by the end of this. I would think. I would think they'd have to introduce it by the end of the third one. Was it the Giggle? Is that the third one? They'd have to have Shooty in. I would imagine do the thing at the end of the episode. We'll see. Hopefully, you keep seeing new pictures of Shooty and his new companion there. He's looking pretty stylish, which is good. You get to see You see Neil Patrick Harris. I can't remember what was he, the toy maker, something like that. I can't remember what the name of his character is. 50 tells me all this stuff. It's like I remember a little bit.
Goes in one ear, out the other.
Well, no, it's in there. It's just trying to shake it out with all the other baloney I stick in there. So whatever.
And it's harder to form connections to like things that people just talk to you about. Like
I'm sure I've seen that episode he's talking about. I can't guarantee it.
Yeah, like I know there's a bunch of different returning things, both in these specials and in the next season, and like all of it is just a vague blur to me because I'll be experiencing them for the first time.
Well, there's going to be a huge test at the end of the specials, and you got to ace it. Otherwise, it's not good. Not good for you.
Yeah. And so really not a ton to say about it, except that I'm excited.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. It's taking too long to get here. You ask me.
It has been quite a while. It's been a while since we had Doctor Who in general, and it's nice that like, especially because the last couple of Doctors have been about like atoning for things and then like rediscovering who they are and all of that, and it's good that these specials hopefully will be about cleaning up one of the Doctor's messes, which like the Doctor doesn't leave that much of a mess behind all of the time. And again, usually for villains, the Doctor will leave that big a mess around. But like he does try to save everybody. That's his main thing. And this one he technically saved. But like Donna Noble is a ticking time bomb whose literal brain could supernova at any point if she accidentally remembers one of her cool space adventures.
Yeah.
And that
It'll
is
be fun how
so
he works
sad.
around that. Yeah. The destruction of all the known universe. But whatever. He'll be fine, guys.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, it worked out for most of the other companions. So at this point well, yeah. To be fair, some of them have not gone on to.
Some of them became the first Cyberman, which was pretty gnarly.
That was pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Not great. So I was going through YouTube a little bit beforehand, and I saw a trailer for the new season of The Righteous Gemstones, and that's coming in June.
Oh.
And it looks pretty good, and it looks like they're going to go up against another rival preaching family, and also maybe some Christian extremists. So yeah, it should be good. It'll be good. It looks like it's going to be just as over the top as you want for The Righteous Gemstones. And only another month to go, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
I don't know and I think this might be the last season too, but goddamn, everything's wrapping up here, Daniel. Too many shows are wrapping up.
Yeah. Like it. And I mean, there are a couple coming to take their place, which is what I was gonna bring up next. Okay. So, because I was hearing that, which is, perfect timing, right? All of the studios are bidding on series at the moment while all of the writers are on strike. Mm-hmm. Just sometimes timing is perfect. And But earlier this week, I believe it started either the 14th or maybe just yesterday. But it's this thing called Upfronts. I actually had never heard about it until I started reading yesterday. But it's a bunch of like I assume like half pilots, you know? It's like a half shot, half like storyboard still, and pitching TV series. So I found a list of a bunch of new series orders, and there's one in particular I want to talk about.
All right.
This is a reality show, kind of. It's produced by Will Arnett.
Okay.
It is called Snake Oil, and what it is Shark Tank, or for our Canadian friends, Dragon's Den, which is absolutely the better name. Dragon's Den is a cooler name than Shark Tank. Dragons have more money than sharks.
I think it's also the name of the English program where everything's based off Dragon's Den.
And yeah, so Shark Tank, but half the products are fake products, and the like judges, the like investors need to figure out which ones are real and which ones are scams before placing their, well, I mean, they find out after bidding or not bidding, but that's literally all I've heard about the series. It's already perfect. Fucking ship it. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm 100% in. Of course, we may have to wait a while for it now, but yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, especially if Will Arnett is just constantly yelling at people.
Did you watch his when he redid the Gong Show and got who did he get to host the goddamn thing again? Mike Myers. He got Mike Myers to do it. Mike Myers was in character the entire time as some English guy. Yeah, it was awesome. I love that version of the Gong Show. I'm sad that they took it away.
I definitely heard about it. I may have watched one episode, but I definitely didn't watch the whole thing.
That's why it's not on the air anymore. Thanks a lot, Daniel.
I definitely have a vague memory of Mike Myers hosting the Gong Show, but I may not have known Will Arnett was producing it at the time.
Yeah, and that's why he kept showing up as a guest judge every couple of weeks. Right?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Goddamn, I gotta find out what the hell Mike Myers' name was on that show. Yeah, because he was never Mike Myers. He was just that guy the entire time. Because it works out so well. It's like the predecessor for the Pentaveret. It was like almost. It was the Pentaveret was almost as.
Don't bring up that show. It's okay. What's Dave gonna do? He's barely a ghost.
He has no corporal form anymore. So we're doing pretty good.
All right. So, that about does it for the news. There are, I think NBC ordered like 12 new cop shows. I was like, wow, that's real fucking original. And then there are some series that are ending. Quite a few of them I was looking at.
Okay.
I mean, the CW canceling literally everything.
Really?
Like adds to that list. I mean, mostly. Like
all your Flash shows and stuff like that are going away, right?
The Flash, yes, was canceled last season technically.
Right.
But yes, let me find the CW one. The Winchesters, Walker Independence canceled after one season. Walker was renewed for season 4, but I believe it's the last season. Gotham Knights is TBD, of course. Awful. The best show that they have.
Awful. And the best show. Oh my god.
I mean, it seems to be the only show that they have at this point, so maybe it is.
Rough. Gross. Yeah, was not a fan of that show. Was not a fan of that show. We'll talk about a show I'm watching this week a little bit later. Not a fan of it either.
All right. Well, let's get into that.
There's been a lot of misses. But there's been some really good shows going on. But yeah, there's been a lot of misses lately. Sucks. Rabbit Hole. God damn. One of the worst things I've ever seen. Terrible. Let's talk about something good first.
All right. Let's get into it a little bit with what have we been watching. Uh, let's see. Let's talk about Mrs. Maisel, just
Yeah.
because we both have a reference for that, and then we'll both go on our little book reports after.
Yeah. I
So
think this is the first time we've talked to Mrs. Maisel in this whole last season. Except for me complaining that you haven't started watching it yet.
yeah, the week after we talked a little bit about the first episode, but now
Okay.
now I'm all caught up. Whichever episode 5 or 6 just came out last Friday.
Yeah,
Uh,
winding down.
yeah, I what I have wanted to say is I really like what they're doing with the flash forwards
You
and
like that?
the like. Yeah, I I think it's especially because of the way TV shows are written these days, where they do plan these arcs out well in advance. I could see where they may have done this as a further season, but like they
Yeah.
had all of these ideas, so they had them written down, so they had characters taking steps in those directions already, and it is nice. Unless it's too overdone, which I don't think it has been really. I like the little jumps into the future and like showing us what's happening. Some of like there's some downfall, there's some falling outs, there's some jail time. No spoilers on who. uh, you'll you'll probably guess who it is, but it's still pretty interesting.
I like it. I like that the fact that when they do jump ahead in time, they keep it very small and within the
Yeah.
scene. They're not trying to build the world like, oh, look at 1983, or like, oh, look, it's 1971. Check out all the things.
Mhm.
Let's, they can reference a couple of names and stuff like that, but they always keep it just within the characters themselves. They never build it outwards at all.
Yeah, like
Um,
even the episode that takes place entirely in that year
yeah,
focuses on strictly on characters that we have seen before and
at
already
the roast.
know, and yeah,
Yeah,
and a lot of it references times that we are watching on screen now, so that even that one, it doesn't feel overdone in that instance
right.
because it's Mike. It's not like yeah.
Now, what do you think? Yeah, there's 2 episodes left, and they've been really focused. The last few, especially, have barely touched on Midge at all. Um, like the entire Susie Meyerson one, she was in for 30 seconds at the end, 1 minute.
Mm,
Even this last one that just passed or whatever, it's more about the family dynamics and stuff like that. A little bit about the TV show and stuff like that. She was in it more. But what do you think of like I've I've found honestly the least interesting person this entire season is Midge Maisel. Everybody else has time to shine, and it seems like she's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And other people get to do so much. I love what they've done with Susie. I love what's going to happen with Susie. I'm
mhm,
very excited about that. I wish we just had that show. Just
right.
they're
But
ending. It's got
it's
2 episodes left.
because we're in again because maybe they had another season that they may have wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for the creators of the show or for like yeah, but what I think is really the problem with Midge as a character in this season is that she's in that final arc, or well, penultimate arc, because she hasn't become the end goal yet, but she's basically she's on the grind literally, because she's like doing a 9 to 5 job writing jokes for a much less funny person to tell on television. uh and it it does suck, but it's the tempering of the steel that needs to happen.
Right.
And I do hope we get a good I I hope her big break is the second to last episode, because I do want to see how she goes from the big break to what we do see in the 1983 flash forwards and all of that.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah. You'd have to imagine it's going to be on the Gordon Ford show. I did like Hank Azaria's character, and I love that they did that entire scene right at the end of the episode or whatever, showing a 1960s style sitcom. Yeah, I thought it was really good. And plus the voice, as soon as you hear the voice, like Hank Azaria's voice, you're like already going to be committed to whatever scene they're doing. But I did like that Gordon Ford is a Canadian. So we got that. We got Canadian representing Mrs. Mason. I like, there's a lot of things. I like what they've done with the two kids, like Ethan and the kibbutz in Israel, and her daughter's a genius. And
yeah.
I really, the stuff with Abe has been so good. I don't think Joel's parents have really had very much to do, unfortunately. They had a couple good little bits at the beginning of the episode where they kept talking about how girls are the worst or whatever, and says, never mind grandma, she's drunk. Like, that was fun. Those were fun. But yeah, not very much else for them to do. I think Joel's had a good season so far. Not like character, like story-wise, there's a lot for him, but an actual showing up, he's not in the episodes very much at all. Not like he used to be anyways, but you'd have to think they've been divorced for how many years, but he's still around. So. He's never seemed to age. I love what's happened with the housekeeper getting married. There's so much. Like all these other separate characters are doing so much. But yeah, if this is the end of we've got 2 weeks left. We got an episode this week and one more. I would love if they just did a show about Susie Meyerson and the years after Mitch leading up to maybe that roast or something, because there's so much they could explore with it. There's another
a freaking like Better Call Saul, but like basically it's her.
It would be a sequel. But yeah, just her building her business. Yeah, and just being a hard ass and all. It'd be awesome.
And dealing with the mob.
Yes. And those two mobster guys are fucking awesome too.
The lobster guys.
There's so much good about that show. It's terrible that it's leaving. It sucks.
Yeah.
This is probably your fault.
I'd rather it ends while it's still enjoyable.
Yeah.
So that's the best we can hope for, is that two episodes before the series ends, we're still excited to watch it. That's which true. Like we weren't saying that about Game of Thrones 2 episodes before it ended.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
I was
they time jumped in that one too. They must have.
Boy, did they time jump. Everything time jumped in that one.
Yeah, this is good. All television's getting time jumpy. They did it in the House of the Dragon too. They're doing it's just a thing now. You got a time jump, guys. Let's do the time jump again. I guess that's the new theme for Hollywood.
All right. Moving on.
Sure.
You want to talk about Barry?
It's another great season of Barry. Very dark season. Not very funny, but so well made, and the characters are great. And I'm really invested in what's happening in Bill Hader's Fingerprints Are All. I think he's directing every episode this year, I think. You and I know he wrote the first episode, but I think he's only been co-writer on maybe 1 or 2 other ones since. But it has been terrific. And another time jump. There's another time jump. And not a little small one. It's a significant one. It's like 8 or 9 years. Like, he doesn't have a kid, and then he has like a 9-year-old son, but they're totally secluded and they're homeschooling him, and he's become religious and stuff. Like, he's with his girlfriend. She followed him out there. So, I don't want to say too much because I know you probably haven't watched a single episode of Barry, or at least not a single episode from this season. But also, NoHo Hank is trying to turn over a new leaf, and it's terrific. It's terrific. Still one of the best characters on television. And again, another show that's wrapping up right away. And I'm gonna be stuck like the 2 half-hour shows. I count on these shows. They're going away.
Yeah. Looks like 2 more weeks of that as well.
Yeah. It's like bang, bang,
Wow.
bang, both. Terrible.
Damn.
So good. And then I watched another show that was a big production show, and it's just awful. It's awful. I'll watch it now to the end, just like there's got to be something to it. But I started watching Citadel, that
Yeah.
that Amazon Prime show, and it's done with the Russo brothers are producing it, and there's a huge budget. It's got Rob Stark in it, Chopra, it's like Priyanka Chopra. There's so much to it. Stanley Tucci's in it, and there's just nothing. There's nothing to this. It's fine, but yeah, a lot of whisper acting. Everybody's very serious. It has
Oh,
again,
Priyanka Chopra.
yeah, Priyanka Chopra. Yeah, there's tons of people in it. It should
Holy
be
crap.
good. It should be really good. It's not. It's fine. You can watch it. It's fine. There's just nothing to it.
Yeah, I had seen a couple of ads for this. But like that's about it. Is like I was seeing ads on the Amazon like Prime app. Other than that, I don't like hear anybody who was talking about this show. It kind of is one of those shows that just pops up on your feed and you go, "Oh, wow, look at this. How did they make this?" And I never even realized.
As soon as it said the Russo brothers, and it's a spy thing, it's like, okay, I wasn't a huge fan of The Gray Man, the movie they did for Netflix, and it had Captain America and whatever else in it, and the what's his name, Ryan Gosling. Uh, it was fine. Again, it was fine. But I like one of my all-time favorite shows right up there, Community. That they were a big part of that. Arrested Development, big part of that. So you figured they'd find places to add comedy and stuff like that. But this is so dry, and they've done great spy stuff. Like Captain America and the Winter Soldier is phenomenal. Maybe my favorite MCU movie. And it's just all it is a spy movie. So you figure they have this. Maybe they just have a problem stretching it out over whatever it's going to be, 8 episodes or whatever. I think there's been 4 episodes out, but I'm like, what? I started watching it, and then it becomes a bit of a slog to get through. Another thing about somehow there's 2 competing super spy agencies, one for the good guys, one for the bad guys, and I guess they at one point they were thinking about doing this show in a whole bunch of like setting it in a whole bunch of different places in different languages, like they did with that one criminal show or whatever for Netflix, but have it all
I'm
like in the same universe, and they were going to throw all this money at it.
I'm reading that here on the Wikipedia page. Looks like it's 6 episodes. The show has a budget. The show has a budget of $300 million.
Bananas.
There's $50 million an episode.
It's bananas. I don't see
and
it.
Then yes,
I don't see it. There it is. Probably to pay good old Rob Stark and Stanley Tucci and Chopra.
And then it does say that it will include spin-off shows in different languages set in the Italian Alps, in India, in Spain, in Mexico. And then apparently the Indian series does have like it has people attached to it apparently.
Okay.
And then the Italian series says it will be co-produced by Amazon Studios. So maybe that's the one we avoid. Maybe we watch Citadel India, because that actually could be interesting.
It's got to be better. It's got to be better.
It's gonna be better, right?
Yeah, it's got to be better. Like the two of them just have no chemistry together. And like, okay, so the premise of this, there's the 2 spy things or whatever, but
okay, but has Richard Madden ever had on-screen chemistry with anyone?
Bodyguard.
Okay, I haven't seen Bodyguard. I was going off Eternals.
Guys, if you want to watch a limited series with Richard Madden, watch Bodyguard, because it's friggin' terrific, and that's why he was like in serious contention to be James Bond at one point. He's so good in this. And then I'm sure that if the Broccolis looked over at this thing right now and said, "We were considering this guy has nothing. There's nothing to this," and he's going up like the guy's producing this directed the biggest movie of all time. The biggest movie of all time. Yeah, awful. Yeah, there's just no chemistry between Chopper and him. Like, okay, like it takes place, like I told you about the things. Now, something bad happens, and there's this case, and of course, it has the code to every single nuclear missile in the world or something. Like the other guy, okay, they're called Citadel, the supposed good team, and the bad team is called Manticore. Manticore. All right, whatever. So yeah, it's basically GI Joe and Cobra. So Manticore is trying to get this case, and supposedly there's an agent that rats them out, but they've got this. Everyone has this fail-safe thing in their brains where they push a button and it erases all their memories. But good news, they all have this fluid thing or something that has all their memories in it. So at some point they can always come back and get injected and get all their memories back in a minute. Yeah, it's yeah. That's that's how good the show is. So yeah, and then he has a family and he's in Montana or Oregon or something like that, and all of a sudden he's like, "No, that's not who you are. You are this person," because everyone goes fight. Yeah, it's a lot, guys. It's a lot. I'm not gonna say do not watch this at all. I say try it if you want.
Mm.
There's only 2 episodes left, so I'll finish it so I can just say I did it. Uh, it's not, guys, not highly recommended by moi. I can tell you that. It's fine.
So
No.
I watched a different series. I watched 9 episodes of this series because it was actually very, very fun.
Yeah.
It's it's a British sci-fi drama. It's called The Power. It's based on a novel by let me find her name, Naomi Alderman.
Okay.
The basic premise is that well, Mother Nature has had enough of our shit. um, it it basically is the finale of Buffy. Actually,
What?
is a great way to explain it.
Everybody gets
When
powers.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
basically women evolve the ability to shoot electricity because there's a power imbalance in the world that needs correcting, and it needs correcting on a cosmic scale, and it is really, really fun. Um, it a lot of it kind of seems like what is it, like kind of in the middle between Skins and Misfits.
Oh, okay. I'm in.
So
I
it's a
love
bunch
Misfits.
of like it's a bunch of young, like most of them are teenagers, and they're like, some of them are terrified of this like friggin' power they're developing. Some of them are able to harness it a lot better. The super angry girl is super good at controlling her power because she just uses rage essentially.
So she like
Uh,
Hulk.
yeah, and she teaches people how to like on like TikTok. She ends up kind of essentially TikTok. I don't exactly know. They never say what the social media is, and uh then yeah, she becomes famous like training people how to fight because she's actually been in fights because her dad's a mobster. Um, and then like there's another girl who like is basically speaking to maybe the power itself. It's unclear. She does claim she talks to God, and there is a voice in her head that tells her what to do and how to use her power to begin with, and then leads her to a convent that she then takes over. So now she is a bit of a cult. It's
All right.
and it's a cult of storms because all of the girls in the convent were specifically there as fosters because they have this electricity power and have nowhere else to go, and then she turns them against the nun that runs the convent.
Sounding more and more British all the time. I'm actually starting to like it. You're selling me on it. You're selling me on it.
Yeah, it's got Toni Collette in it and John Leguizamo. They play the mayor. Toni Collette plays the mayor of Seattle, and John Leguizamo is her husband. Then their daughter ends up one of the kids that gets the power, and then at one point there's a whole line where there's like basically QAnon bullshit going around as well, because there's there's like a weird anonymous figure who's like basically, complaining that only women are getting this power and that
Oh,
it's jeopardizing everything and the natural order of things.
fragile male ego.
Exactly. But then this stirs tension in like the mayor's family, because the daughter has the electricity powers and hurts the son, and then he starts watching the
Oh,
anonymous
he's,
videos.
he's being
And
indoctrinated.
yes, and yeah, so there's drama all over the place, and yeah, does a bunch of different things. It also follows a journalist who goes to some of some of the interesting places where, like, again, those are interesting stories, obviously, but those are very America-centric stories. Whereas, whoa, whereas, yeah, um, in like, where does he go? Oh my God, I don't want to get it wrong. I think he goes to Saudi Arabia,
Oh, I was going to
but
say Winnipeg. He goes to Winnipeg.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes to like film the revolution that is happening as this power is
Oh,
developing,
I like
because
it. I like it.
yeah, there are a
I'm just
lot more
imagining
interesting stories than
all these
just the
ladies
America
doing
one.
like the emperor thing to people, like
It kind of is
you can
too.
see their skeletons. I like it.
It's pretty cool.
So this is what show is this a Netflix show?
Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Oh, okay, very
Yeah,
good.
I
Is
just
that
saw it recommended to me. I will warn you.
oh boy?
Uh, it kind of ends on a crazy ass cliffhanger, and that we don't know if there's a second season coming or when that would be coming. Uh, Chances are 18 months from now if it gets greenlit, because it hasn't been greenlit yet. So
Mm-hmm. Well, they
that's
can't write anything for it.
that is also true, which could delay it even further. But
We can
I
always we can script it out. We'll script it out. We're not we can be scab writers. We'll just do it. We'll just act it out back and forth here on the show. Just you and I are
or
the only two actors.
we could just go read the book.
Dare you, sir? This is a television show. This doesn't have to be read. It's ridiculous thing to say. So when you were talking about you were watching The Power, I thought you were talking about that TV show that 50 Cent was an executive producer on. Like, oh, he's there watching that. I think it's on Stars or something like that. I've never seen it, but I know that like it's done like at least one spinoff. So I guess it was a successful show. I haven't seen it yet. But I just heard like not like recently, 50 Cent was a producer, and I was like, God damn, I should at least try and watch that. So, like, what's the other one? The spinoff is called like Raising King Power, the Book of some, I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
So the original is called Power.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's created and produced by Courtney A. Kemp in collaboration with 50 Cent. There's
maybe.
6 seasons of this show.
Yeah, it's been around. It has a spinoff.
Huh. Look at that.
Yeah, maybe I'll breeze through the 9 or 10 episodes of Power, and then I'll watch the first season of the other Power, and I can compare.
Also, it looks like,
They're
yeah.
probably the exact same.
And I was about to say, it looks like this is also available on Amazon. But yes,
Oh, it's on
because it's
Amazon.
Stars.
Yeah.
I
Oh, is
mean,
that it?
I believe you can get Stars programs through either Crave or Amazon in Canada, but
Right. I can't remember.
yeah,
I'll look it up.
it's complicated as crap.
Oh my gosh.
So that about does it. There's a couple other shows that we can jump into next week. Like I want to talk a little bit next week about The Flash because that will be just after the penultimate episode of the series.
There's a
And
lot of penultimate episodes coming.
yep,
Penultimate Mrs. Maisel, penultimate Barry, penultimate
we're gonna
The
have a lot of
Flash.
penultimates next week.
Yeah. There's the penultimate Pentaferate.
Ooh.
No, there you go.
All
You
right.
can watch it again.
But yes, I also am aware that you heading out this evening, so we can jump into our plugs, or well, your plugs, because I never have any goddamn plugs.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, yeah. You can watch me coming up pretty soon. I think I'm going to be doing an episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Again, the Doctor Who show featuring our good buddy over there. And then we got a couple more shows on the Let's Get Ready Network. I've got Starting 11 and Playoff Beards. Stanley Cup now reached its semifinals. What else do I got? I'm going to be on an episode of Entertainment News Break with our buddy Justin, our buddy Adelia. So, yeah, lots of stuff for me on the old interwebs here of late. But mostly, just sitting back watching television and crying because all the good shows are ending.
Excellent.
Why couldn't Rabbit Hole be ended?
Speaking of the NHL Final Four, I am so mad at the Dallas Stars for not giving me the Battle of Expansion because that would have been interesting. Just for no other reason than they're the two newest teams in the league.
Well, Seattle did not show up. That was maybe one of the worst playoff games I've ever seen a team play.
Yeah.
They were boring. They tried so hard
and
not to lose.
It sucks because they have been both good and bad in these playoffs, but they've always been present and exciting. And then there was that last game, and it was like, whew.
It was awful. I did a live stream for it on the Let's Get Ready Twitch channel with Adelia. And it was like, and it was so fast. There was just no breaks. There was no penalties being taken. There was nothing. It was so fast. It only took 2 hours and 15 minutes to play. Awful. It was awful. One penalty each in the first period, and other than that, nothing.
Just some good, clean old hockey.
Oh, this one went off the post. Okay, and back and forth. There's just no animosity. Even like there was no fight. There was no spirit. There was nothing. Whatever. I didn't want them to win the Stanley Cup. I only want the Jets to win the Stanley Cup. It's gross.
Honestly, I didn't want them to win the Stanley Cup either, but I wanted them to, like, at least. It's even cool that they made it into the second round. They made a ton of new fans in Seattle. That team is surprising more people than Vegas did.
Because they thought that draft they did was such a huge bust.
Yeah. I mean, they said that about the Knights too, and then it turns out that neither team is particularly bad. Seattle just got bad goaltending last year, and bad goaltending will sink any team. Ask the Ottawa Senators. Oof. At least this guy is gonna win a Norris, hopefully.
Josh Morrissey didn't even get selected. That I think is criminal. That's criminal. I think Kellen McCarr gets a freaking nod, but not.
Yeah, he played half the goddamn. Okay, but this is not a hockey podcast. Maybe I'm kind of kicking around the idea of starting one. So if I do, I'll have you on to bitch about every team that isn't the Jets.
Yep,
because that's what you do best.
With no problem.
Also, I mean, considering the situation there, you might be bitching about the Jets too.
Oh, 100% I will. That's my favorite thing to do. Oh yeah. God damn it. The worst.
Hey, favorite is still bitching about Toronto.
Oh yeah.
Everyone loves that though.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a national pastime.
Yeah. Them and the Habs and the Oilers. God, I hate them. I hate the Flames. God, I hate the Canucks.
At least you cheer for a semi-respectable team in Canada.
The only one. The only one. If you ask me.
All right, and that'll about do it for us. Thanks everyone for myself and for Rob and for Dave in the back holding down the fort, even though he's been very ghost-like today. Yeah. We hope to see everybody here probably next week. We can probably say we'll probably be there.
I'm not in Vegas, I can tell you that. I'm not saying I won't be in
All
person.
right. I'm also not in Vegas next week, just in case anyone was wondering.
We'll see.
All right. So take it easy, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.